Hello YouTube and welcome to the channel. Now then, today's video we are going to be looking at this. It's the latest offering from WPL. It's the D42 drift van. I think it's a 1/10 scale model of a Daihatsu Hijet, or the Chinese equivalent I think is a Tianjin DAFA. I hope I pronounced that correctly. The video is very kindly being sponsored by Banggood. They've sent this for a review, so that's precisely what we're going to do today. Anyway, we're going to get straight into this and open the box. As ever on the channel, I've not opened this, so if there's any nasty surprises inside, you and I will be the first to see it. Right then, in the box we get our transmitter. It's got steering dual rate, throttle dual rate on two little switches. We've got steering trim, which is on a little knob, and we've got an on-off button. And I believe this controller is unique to the D12 and this D42. What else have we got? We've got some instructions with regards to the car. I've got a spare battery, and I'll show you where the other battery comes in a minute. We've also got some spares and bits and pieces, some stickers. There's a battery charger in there, and I believe there's a sign for the top if you want to turn it into a taxi, windscreen wipers, etc. And the actual truck itself. Now, in the interests of honesty, this is how it's turned. This is how it's turned up to me. Now it looks pretty horrendous, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. It's fairly common to get one of these with the wheels off. All they do is just basically pop on these little ball joints, and it is fairly common for you to get these and they're detached. So it's not necessarily anything to worry about. Now then, let's have a quick look at the van itself. It's literally just taken me a couple of seconds to pop these ball joints back on. Like I say, it's not really much of an issue. It is quite common to find them popped off in the box for some reason. Now, while we're having a look at the underneath, I'll show you where the spare battery, or the battery, lives, I should say. You turn the exhaust pipe and open this little hatch, and there we go. Inside, that's where the battery lives, in that little compartment. Okay, first impressions. Well, I think you'll agree it's quite a reasonable representation of the little Daihatsu van. I don't think there's anything else quite like this out there, so it's quite a unique looking little model. I'll tell you what we'll do. We're not going to do a massively in-depth teardown. I'm going to take this body off and we're going to have a look at what's underneath. Okay then, that's the lid off. Let's have a quick look inside, see what we've got. Well, at the front here we've got our ESC and receiver board. Sandwiched between that and the motor is the steering servo, and interestingly it drives a little sort of steering rack arrangement. And I tell you what, it's got a ridiculous amount of steering lock, this thing. And you can see the servo horn poking out the bottom there. We've got a little 260 motor which drives the rear wheels only through a little gearbox. Now, I don't know why we haven't seen these little 260s appearing in any of the other WPL range, because I thought with MN using a little 260 motor and gearbox we might see WPL following suit, but as far as I know, the D12 and the D42 are the only WPLs it appears in. Like I say, it drives a little gearbox through a little prop shaft and just drives the rear wheels only. And there we can see the battery tray at the back there. As you can see, it's a very simplistic little model. I did also remove this little cover at the bottom so you could see the steering mechanism. And I believe that most of the componentry on the D42 is interchangeable with the D12. I think the chassis might be slightly different at the front. I know that the battery door is obviously different because you've got this little fake exhaust handle, if you like, and the body attaches in a slightly different manner to the D12. Anyway, enough waffle. Let's get the battery charged up. I'll put the fittings on the body and we'll take him out for a run, see what he's like. had to call a cessation to the activities. I don't know if you could tell on the video while I was sort of drifting it around the living room, the motor started making a funny clicking noise, like a couple of the gears were just catching. So I've basically taken it out, taken the body off, taken the motor out, and it would seem as though the motor's come loose in the gearbox. Now I'm going to split the two gearbox halves, because it might just be a screw that's come loose inside. But I'll split it and see what the crack is. Well, there's the culprit. One of the little screws that holds the motor in has come adrift from out of the gearbox. It's floating around inside. So I'm going to screw the little bugger back in, put some Loctite on him first, mind. Screw the little bugger back in, and then we're going to have another go with this. Right then, that's enough of that. It's appraisal time. Let's have some good and bad points for the WPL D42. First bad point, probably the elephant in the room, and that is the fact that it broke. I know it was only one of the screws came out the motor, but if I hadn't been too au fait with this thing, I'd have probably written it off as being scrap. So it did actually break on me, there's no doubt about it. Second bad point, now initially, and it hasn't done it for the last two battery packs, initially when I did very first get it, it did keep turning itself off even though the battery was charged. You know, when the lights start flickering and it stops and just has steering. So I'm not 100% sure what was going on there, but it hasn't done it for a little while. So, but it did initially when I got it keep turning itself off. Now the third bad point in my opinion is the price. At the moment this thing is 64 quid with two batteries, which is $84. And if you live here in the UK, you'll have to pay £11 shipping, and that brings a total 75 quid. And for 75 quid, you could get one of these and still save yourself a bit of money. And in my humble opinion, this is a little bit more exciting. Now let's go through some good points, shall we? The first of which is the fact that these have loads of spares and loads of upgrades for them. And I think that's one of the appeals of having a vehicle like this, is the customizability of it. So if you wanted to convert it to brushless, you can put loads of trick bits and pieces in. You really can make it your own, and I think that's part of the appeal of possibly buying something like this. Another good point about this little RC is its uniqueness. I mean, if you did want something like this, then as far as I'm aware, I don't think there's anything else like it out there at all. Other good points include the fact that it seems to handle all right. It goes all right. I mean, for a WPL, it's obviously quite nippy. I do like the fact that you've got the dual rate steering and throttle, so you can tone them both down if you want to. That did come in handy, to be fair. Although if you do turn the steering dual rate up, it does have a propensity to flip over, because that turning circle is absolutely ridiculously tight. Right then, conclusion time. Would I recommend WPL's D42? Now then, this has caused me a little bit of consternation, because on one hand I am a big WPL fan, but on the other hand, this for some reason just doesn't float me boat. I didn't really like the D12, and obviously this is very similar, of a very similar ilk. Now I can understand the appeal of owning something like this, and it's probably to create something unique to you. You know what I mean? It's customizing it. That's where the interest and the fun is going to be. As an RC, it's actually quite dull, because at the end of the day, you just get a mildly entertaining van to pilot around. I mean, it's a reasonable model, and if you do want, you know, an RC van, this is pretty much it. But it just doesn't do anything for me. The fun factor, unfortunately, with this, for me anyway, just isn't there. I just feel it's a little bit limited in the scope of what it can do. And also the price. I mean, 75 quid, that's a hell of a lot of money. I mean, you could go and buy that Flyhal X04 for less money, and that is a much more entertaining, much more fun vehicle. I'm starting to waffle now, and I haven't really answered the initial question of would I recommend this RC to anyone? And it pains me to say, but the answer is no. I think for 75 quid, I think your money could be better. If it was 40 quid, it wouldn't be so bad. But I think for 75 quid, I think your money would be far better spent on something that's just a little bit more interesting and a little bit more fun. And the fact that the thing broke as well, that it really did put the final nail in the coffin. Anyway, a big massive thank you to Banggood for supplying this for review. It does make a big difference to have their input on the channel, and I wouldn't be able to review half of these things if it wasn't for them, so big thumbs up. If you are interested in this vehicle, as ever, there's an affiliate link in the description below where you can go and get one. There is actually a promo code for this that they've supplied as well, so you'll get a bit of money off as well. At least you know that these reviews are honest and I don't automatically like everything I'm sent. So I always give you guys my honest opinion as much as I can. As ever, if you found this video of some use and interest, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you're feeling that way inclined, hit that subscribe button for more similar future content. Thank you for watching, guys.